Right, all right. The other day when I saw the video, I think it was Murder Eaters that the Amazing Atheist did. I will confess I laughed a lot at the Amazing Atheist in that video because I consider the Amazing Atheist to be primarily a comedian in all matters that don't have anything to do with being an atheist. And even some of those that do. That's how I watch his videos. You know, I don't really take him all that seriously unless I think he's being serious. Now, the video Murder Eaters that caused so many people a lot of outrage, I fully understand, because if you take the types of things that he's saying seriously, then it is outrageous, and I don't think you can really paint it any other way. You know, when TJ's biting into the burger and saying the suffering of the animal really comes through, you know, I did laugh at that because I thought he was joking. You know, on the other hand, you know, I am aware that with a large subscriber base, it's fair to assume that some people might take him seriously, you know, whatever that percentage might be. I don't know. I just got done watching In Mendham's two videos, and I've watched Oh My God, It's Chris a couple of times on hers, and I think she makes some really good points. And as I said to her in comments, it's rare when you see someone actually get away with owning TJ. I mean, I think she just slam dunked both TJ and Onision in her video. Anyway, I want to give you a bit of background on myself before I make any points that I want to make about it, just so you know where I'm coming from, you know, declare my hand, I suppose. I grew up on a farm, and, you know, we ate beef, heck, shit, 3, 4, 5 nights a week for most of my growing up period. And I didn't really think anything of it. You know, I grew up in a rural area. Everyone was either a farmer or something nearby. That's just the way it was. And so, you know, I never really gave it a lot of thought. After I was about 27 years old, I did become a vegetarian, and I was a vegetarian for about 7, possibly 8 years. And my children were born during that time, and I make no bones about it, and I'm quite happy to say what I'm saying in plain, blunt language. I completely brainwashed my children into being vegetarian, i.e., when they were really small, when they were toddlers, we'd be in the checkout line at the supermarket, and if people were putting beef on the conveyor belt, or pork, or any kind of red meat especially, I used to point it to the children when they're little and go, ooh, look, ooh, it's still bleeding, ooh, that's disgusting, ooh. You know, I did that because I wanted the kids to grow up without having eaten animals, and then if they chose to, as adults, try eating animals, that's fine. Now, I had a lot of peer pressure from people at the time. The kid's grandmother on their mother's side in particular tried to feed them fish all the time, and perhaps she might have done behind my back for all I know. We used to have to keep on telling her off every time I caught her trying to do it. She would try to mash up little bits of fish fingers into, say, mashed potatoes and see if she could get away with that. She thought it was important that the kids had some kind of meat, even if it was only fish. Now, she and other people used to say to me, oh, Paul, you know, you should give them, you know, all 4 food groups, and, you know, if they want to become vegetarian when they grow up, then, you know, let them have that choice. But that's like saying, I'm going to teach my kids to smoke, and then if they want to quit when they grow up, that's okay. You know, I think whether you like it or not, In Mendham has a point when he says that eating meat is addictive. If you've never done anything but eat meat, try and quit. Because it's just on a habit level. It takes a bit of practice. It takes, you know, you can have a lot of willpower and stuff, but then you walk by someone else's window in the evening on your way home, and you smell the smell of a roast dinner, or on a Sunday morning walking the dog, you smell bacon coming out of someone's window, and it's like, whoa, you know. Now, I did go back to eating meat again, and I also know for sure that one of these days, in the not too distant future, I'm sure, I will probably stop. I don't make any apologies for eating meat because I don't feel proud of it either. I'm well aware of the problems that exist in the meat industry, and I don't eat meat every day, and I hardly ever eat red meat. But that's no excuse. Still do. I think those of us who do eat meat, and especially if you eat in the frequently eat in the fast food chain industry, because that is largely responsible for the high volume, high suffering end of the meat industry. I mean, before these types of outlets were manifestly everywhere, when I was a kid, farmers sold their beef to local shops, and that was more or less how the meat economy worked. And so therefore, there were fewer animals, and people knew how they were being taken care of, and it wasn't like it is now. I'm not saying it's any less ethical or more ethical. People can make their own determinations. When In Mendham takes the amazing atheist to task for calling eating meat a dietary choice, I happen to say that I think it is a dietary choice, as long as you're prepared to admit, that your eating meat is contributing to a problem, and that you can't basically say I eat meat and it's okay, there's no suffering going on, or the suffering is okay because it sustains my life. Suffering isn't okay, and whatever lengths I should go to perhaps be a better consumer, sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. All the eggs and all the chicken I consume, for example, are free range. But I can't speak for the occasional bacon that I eat, and I certainly don't have a clue about the very rare times that I eat beef. I don't know. I don't really have a clue where the sources are, and I'm not going to pretend that I do. Anyway, moving on to the ethical side of eating meat and cannibalism, it keeps on getting mentioned by In Mendham and Onizian and stuff. And of course, Onizian and In Mendham are miles apart, and I don't mean to conflate the two in terms of their views. Other than they're both vegetarians, and passionately so. Anyway, the amazing atheist, when he says about how the moral distinction between eating animals and eating plants is very narrow, that is pure sophistry, of course, and I'm glad that other people have already pointed it out, so I don't have to go into it too much. But the fact is that the amazing atheist is alluding to a legitimate point, which is that all life depends on death. That's a fact. Even life at the bottom of the ocean depends on organic material floating down from the top. Everywhere there is something alive, something else had to die, decompose, or whatever to make that happen. There is a circle of life that goes on. I hate to be cliche. I'll give you a good example, actually, though. In the 80s, there was this movie called The Gods Must Be Crazy, and in the movie, it centers on this Kalahari bushman who'd never seen civilization. And before he ever comes across any civilized, quotation marks, people, there's a scene where he kills an animal with a poison dart, and as the animal's in the process of dying, he apologizes to it for killing it, but explains to him that its meat is going to go to feed him and his family, and that the animal will there, in that way, live on. And that's very noble, and I think even a lot of vegetarians would agree that if a person killed the animal themselves and utilized the entire creature for everything possible, didn't just eat its flesh, but utilized its skin and its bones, and didn't put the animal to waste, you can almost say that's a more moral way of eating meat. Now the reality is that 99.99999% of people that eat meat in this world don't kill it themselves and don't utilize the entire animal, even if they do. And there are ethical questions that need to be asked, and people need to be asking them, and this is a passionate subject, and it should be so. I don't claim to have all the answers, but I just wanted to put my hand out there and say where I'm coming from. I do believe that eating meat, not eating meat, let's put it another way. I do believe that supporting the meat industry in its current form is morally dubious at best. Anyway, I'm running out of time. So I'm going to sign off. This is Got That Funk. May all your ups and downs be ups,